So thinking about helping students plan their education,
Uh,
becoming an academic advisor.
yeah.
Well, we've got some great info for you today. We're looking at this article from academicjobs.com.
Okay.
It's by the CEO, Jared Conazay, and it's all about, what it takes to be an academic advisor.
Cool.
So if you're wondering what they actually do all day and whether this is like the right career for you, well, this deep dive is for you.
Awesome.
Let's jump in. First things first, what exactly is an academic advisor?
Right. Well, a lot of people think advisor is the same from high school to college, but
I can see that.
there are some big differences.
Yeah, for sure. So break it down for us. What's the difference?
Okay. So in high school, advisors are really focused on graduation and those immediate next steps,
Yes.
college applications
Right.
or vocational training
Yeah.
or just entering the workforce. It's a huge turning point in their lives, you
Yeah,
know.
big time.
But then in college, advising really broadens. It becomes
So it's not just about picking classes.
not just that. You're still guiding students to choose courses, helping them decide on a major, but you're also helping them see how those decisions connect to their career goals.
Oh, interesting. So like how what they're studying now will actually help them in the real world.
Exactly. Bridging that gap between academics and what they want to do with their lives.
Hmm. So is it kind of like a career counselor then,
Mm-hmm.
but with more emphasis on, the actual academic part?
Exactly. You got it. And it goes even beyond that. College advisors help students navigate all these different parts of college life.
Okay.
Everything from dealing with test anxiety to figuring out financial aid.
Oh.
They might even refer students to specialists if they need more intensive counseling or help with finances. They're really like a hub of information and support.
So you're not just a scheduler, you're a mentor, strategist, resource hub.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is.
What skills do you need to be good at a job like that?
Well, the article mentions, the typical stuff being organized, paying attention to detail, and communicating clearly. Those are obviously super important.
Yeah, makes sense.
But what I found interesting is that it also emphasizes empathy and resourcefulness.
Oh, okay. Empathy, because I guess you're working with students at a pretty critical time in their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to face challenges.
Exactly. And that's where the resourcefulness comes in. The article gave this example of a student who needed a specific course that wasn't being offered.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Right. So a good advisor doesn't just say, tough luck. They think outside the box, Maybe they connect that student with the professor whose research is related, or they find a similar course at another school.
Finding creative solutions.
Yeah.
I like that. So everyone listening, before we even get into the qualifications, think about your strengths. Are you good at problem solving? Do you enjoy helping people through tough situations?
Right.
Because that's a big part of being an academic advisor.
Okay, so now for maybe what seems like a really basic question, but it's one that a lot of people get confused about.
Okay.
What's the difference between an academic advisor and a counselor?
Yeah, that's a good one. I've definitely wondered that myself.
Yeah, it can be confusing. So counselors often work in primary and secondary schools.
Okay.
And their work has a strong psychological element, They're trained to support students with issues like anxiety, depression, family problems, things that can really impact a student's ability to learn.
Right. They're dealing with the whole student, not just the academic side.
Exactly. Academic advisors, though, they're more focused on the future, helping students map out their academic path and connect it to their career dreams.
And there's a difference in terms of responsibility.
Yes, good point.
Yeah.
An academic advisor is more like a partner. They provide guidance, resources, expertise, but ultimately the student is the one making the final decisions about their education.
Gotcha. So advisors empower students to take charge of their own education.
Yes,
That's a key difference.
it is.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about telling them what to do. It's about helping them become independent decision makers.
Right.
So how do you actually become an academic advisor? What's the path?
Well, the article lays out 5 steps, and no surprise, the first one is education.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you need at least a bachelor's degree, I'm assuming.
Yes, that's usually required, and feels like education or counseling are pretty common paths.
Okay.
But here's something interesting. Even while you're studying, you should try to get involved in advising or admissions at your own school.
Oh, interesting. Get some experience.
Yes. That hands-on experience looks really good when you're applying for jobs.
Right. Shows you're not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about licenses? Do all advisors need one?
It depends, really. Some roles require teaching or counseling licenses, especially if you're working with specific student populations or if the role involves a more therapeutic element. The National Board for Certified Counselors, that's a good resource to check out those requirements.
Got it. Okay, and what about a master's degree? Is that like a must-have, or is it more of a nice-to-have?
It really depends on the job and the school.
Okay.
But a master's degree can definitely help you get higher level jobs and possibly a higher salary. Speaking of salary, the average for an academic advisor is around 41,101 but senior advisors who usually have that master's degree average like $41,336.
So while a master's isn't always required, it can help you move up in your career faster and earn more.
Right.
Good to know.
And beyond the money, a master's program lets you specialize, develop deeper expertise, really refine your skills. It's an investment in your professional growth.
All right. So we've talked about what an academic advisor does, the skills you need, and how to get there. But let's be real, no job is perfect.
True.
So what are some of the challenges advisors face?
Well, advising can be pretty demanding. You're often juggling a ton of students, each with their own, unique needs and struggles.
Oh, yeah. I bet it can feel like you're always playing catch-up.
It can. And it's not just the students you have to work with. There's faculty, administrators, parents.
So many people.
Right. A lot of different stakeholders to keep happy.
I can only imagine.
And sometimes those stakeholders have different expectations. Like, you might have a student who's struggling in a class and the professor is really strict about their standards. And at the same time, the student's parents are pushing for the professor to be more lenient.
Oh, wow. So then what?
It takes a lot of diplomacy and strong communication skills to handle those situations well.
Yeah, it sounds like you're constantly mediating between all these different points of view.
Pretty much.
How do advisors deal with all that pressure and, not lose their minds?
Well, like we talked about before, empathy is super important.
Right.
Being able to understand where everyone is coming from is key to finding solutions that work for everybody. And, of course, clear communication is essential. You need to be able to explain expectations clearly, stand up for your students, and respect everyone's perspective, even when they disagree.
And I'm guessing a lot of patience helps too.
Oh, absolutely. You're working with people who are at different stages in their development, trying to make tough decisions. It's important to remember that everyone is on their own journey, and sometimes progress takes time.
That's a good point.
But it's also important to set boundaries,
Yeah.
and to know when to refer students to other resources or specialists.
Right.
You can't be everything to everyone, but you can be a valuable guide and advocate. It is a balancing act, that's for sure. But with all these challenges, what makes this career path so fulfilling, for the people who actually choose to do this work?
That's a great question. I mean, it's got to be more than just checking off boxes and making schedules.
Oh, yeah, definitely. For me, it's about those aha moments.
What do you mean?
Like when a student finally figures out their path, when they make that connection between their studies and what they're actually passionate about. You're not just helping them pick classes, you're helping them achieve their goals, seeing them grow and succeed. That's what makes it so rewarding.
I bet. I can only imagine how amazing it must feel to see a student go from being totally uncertain to being confident what they want to do.
It really is. And it's not just about those big milestones either.
Okay.
It's the little victories, too.
Yeah.
Helping a student overcome a specific obstacle or seeing them gain confidence or even just seeing that spark of excitement when they discover a new interest.
That's cool.
It's about making a real difference in their lives, one student at a time.
So you're not just pushing papers, you're shaping futures. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So for someone listening who's thinking, this is for me, I want to do this, what should they actually do? What are some concrete steps?
Well, I'd say first, do your research.
Okay.
Like, don't just jump into any academic advising program out there. Really look into different specialties, the kinds of schools you might want to work at, community colleges, big universities, more specialized schools, and really understand what they're looking for in an advisor.
So find the right fit for you.
Exactly. Don't just chase a generic advisor title. Find what you're passionate about. And also, don't be afraid to reach out to people who are already advisors. Network a little bit, go to conferences, maybe even join professional organizations.
Okay.
The more you can connect with working advisors, the more you'll learn about the job and all the different paths you can take.
Mentorship. That comes up a lot when we talk about different careers.
Yeah.
Is it important for aspiring advisors too?
Absolutely. Finding a mentor who can give you advice, share their experiences, and, maybe even connect you with opportunities.
Yeah.
It's so valuable. It was really important for me when I was starting out, and I'd recommend it to anyone.
It's like having a guide, right? Okay. So we've talked about the skills, the challenges, the rewards. But let's zoom out a bit. Look at the bigger picture. What are some of the trends that are shaping the field of academic advising? How is the profession changing?
Well, one of the biggest trends is the use of technology.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Advising isn't just about face-to-face meetings anymore. There are all these online platforms and tools advisors can use to connect with students, track their progress, offer support.
So it's like advising 2.0,
Mhm.
more efficient, more accessible. What kind of impact is that having?
It's huge, especially as the student population is becoming more diverse and, more spread out geographically.
Yeah.
Think about it. You have students taking online classes, students who work, students with families. Technology allows advisors to reach them in ways they couldn't before.
So it's helping students who might not have that traditional college experience.
Yeah.
What other trends are out there?
Another big shift is the focus on preparing students for careers. Colleges and universities are under a lot of pressure to prove that their degrees are actually worth it.
Right.
And that means helping students connect what they're learning to what they'll be doing after graduation.
It's not just about getting that degree anymore. It's about making sure students have the skills they need to actually succeed in the real world.
Exactly. And academic advisors are a big part of that. They're helping students figure out their career goals, explore different options, and even develop those really important soft skills. Employers are always looking for communication, teamwork, problem solving.
So advising is becoming more holistic, more connected to the overall student experience.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it really speaks to how much the advisor's role has evolved. They're not just scheduling classes, they're mentors, coaches, career counselors, and really advocates for their students. It takes a lot of different skills and a real passion for helping others succeed.
It does sound like a demanding job,
Mhm.
but also incredibly rewarding for the right person. And speaking of finding the right career, we were just talking about how much the role is expanding. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, are there any specific areas within advising that someone could, specialize in?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of different niches within the field. It's not just the traditional advisor we've been talking about.
Okay, that's cool. Tell me more about these niches. What kind of specializations are we talking about?
Well, some advisors work specifically with certain groups of students, like first-generation college students,
Right.
or students with disabilities, or international students. Each
Uh-huh.
of those groups has its own unique needs, its own challenges navigating college life.
I can see that. It makes sense to have advisors who really get those challenges and can offer more targeted help.
Exactly. And then there are advisors who specialize in certain academic areas like STEM fields or the humanities. They usually have a background in those areas themselves, so they can provide like more in-depth guidance on courses, research opportunities, even careers in those fields.
So it's like they're a subject matter expert and an advisor.
Exactly.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Any other specializations come to mind?
Oh, yeah. Some advisors focus mainly on career development,
Okay.
helping students find internships, look for jobs, build their professional networks. They often work closely with career services offices or even have experience working in a particular industry themselves.
Wow. So there really is a niche for everyone, huh? It's not just a one-size-fits-all thing.
Nope, not at all. That's actually one of the things that makes advising so great, I think.
Yeah.
You can really personalize your career to match your interests. But you're still helping students at the end of the day.
Okay, let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, this is it. I want to be an academic advisor.
Yeah.
Where do they even begin? What's step one?
I go back to what I said earlier, do your research. Really think about what kind of advising appeals to you. Do you want to work with a specific group of students? Specialize in a particular field. Focus on career development.
Yeah.
Once you have a better idea of where your interests lie, then you can start checking out different programs and schools that fit those goals.
And I'm guessing networking is important here too, like getting to know people in the field.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Talk to advisors, go to conferences, join professional organizations. The more you can immerse yourself in the field, the more you'll learn about different options. And, the more likely you are to find mentors who can help you along the way.
Mentorship. That's definitely a theme we keep coming back to. And I think it's for a good reason. Having someone who's been there, done that, it's invaluable.
Totally agree. My mentors have been so important in my own journey. I can't stress enough how important it is to find those relationships.
All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot today. What academic advisors do, the skills they need, the challenges, the rewards. What's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Hmm. I think the most important thing is that academic advising is about so much more than just helping students pick classes. It's about giving them the tools and the support they need to really own their education, connect their passions to what they're studying, and ultimately reach their full potential.
That's a great way to put it. And for anyone out there who is ready to take on that challenge, to make a difference in the lives of students, remember, take that first step. Do your research, connect with people, explore all the possibilities out there. And hey, if you're ready to start actually looking for academic advising roles, or any higher education jobs for that matter, check out academicjobs.com.
Yes, great resource. They've got tons of listings and resources to help you find the perfect fit for you. Good luck on your journey.
Good luck, everyone.